In 2021, I hit up 52 card shows all across the United States. And even one day, I hit up 3 different card shows all across the state of Florida. I think I know a few different things about card shows. So, in today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys some of the different tips and some advice that I've learned over this last year going through this incredible run of 52 shows. Now, the first one is making money at a card show. The best way is actually becoming a dealer. You should not do what I'm doing and go around and buy cards. See, as a dealer, inventory walks up to you, and many dealers only pay between 60% and 75% comps. And it's all a numbers game at that point. If you're buying a $1,000 card at 70% comps, you're paying $700. You end up selling it for 90 or 95%. You have $200 to $250 in room. Obviously, some people bring in some higher end cards, some people bring in lower end cards. But as a dealer, you find a ton of deals. As someone that goes around to show as a buyer like I do, I'm buying cards that a dealer has already purchased. Now, some dealers will give out bigger deals, let's say 80% or 90% comps, depending on how much they paid for a card. But a lot of dealers still have sticker price or even are above comps, which makes it a lot tougher. So becoming that dealer at a show, you have the biggest opportunity to make money. Don't go around trying to buy cards. There is opportunity there, but it's not as great as a dealer. So based off of that, you guys might be wondering how I ended up funding these 52 card shows. I'm not a full-time dealer. I actually am a full-time data analyst. I do sports cards as a hobby on the weekend, trying to travel to all of the shows. So this is how I was able to fund this 52 card show journey. I used funds from my work in life, and then I ended up paid for all these different things. Top of it, I kept travel really, really cheap. So if you're trying to travel, I try to keep my expenses super low. What I did is I always took like a Spirit or Frontier, tried to spend under $100, $150 for a flight. Some days I would take the earliest flight going to a show and the last flight there. Other times I had some friends that I could stay with, whether it's a hotel room, so I can split the hotel room in half, or I had a friend that lives in a city so I could sleep on a couch. Best ways to save money if you have the options available to you. I try to keep expenses super low except for food. You guys enjoy the food as well, so try to share at least some local food because you don't get to try that every single day. My next card show tip is verifying the items that you are purchasing. Learn how to authenticate. Now, I have a really, really good guide for you guys, which is Spotting Fakes, a book that I worked 11 months on. It's about 180 pages. I go over 50 different cards showing examples of both fake and real, and also 70 pages teaching you guys on how to authenticate a card, whether it's different light tests, the printing, the stock, smell, and much more. So you guys can check out Spotting Fakes on Amazon. But the reason why is you just never know when you're going to run into a person again. Some dealers aren't going to set up at every single show. And if you're a dealer and someone's coming over here to sell you cards, you can't guarantee that you're going to run into that person as well. So make sure you verify both the slab and the card within it. As you learn a lot more about cards, you can start kind of eyeballing them and know if it's real or not. Obviously, you have to be closer inspecting a card for some types of alterations, but you slowly pick up that eye where you can tell right away if a card is real or fake. But really, really important to verify your items so you don't lose out on money. The next tip is to watch a few different videos of the card show you're attending before you go. This lets you know some of the different types of dealers that are there, but most importantly, what type of cards are at a show. Every single card show is different. Obviously, going to a new city, you know that if they have any sports teams in there, you're going to see those cards there. But some shows are going to be primarily vintage, while others are going to be full of modern cards. For example, when I went to Ohio for a local card show, I'd say it's probably about 80 to 90% vintage, which is a great show for me because I love vintage and I love pre-war. So I really, really enjoyed that local show. All these dealers had amazing collections, and I spent a lot of time going through there. And luckily, I found a lot of golf cards that I wanted. However, if you go to a show, let's say in California, it's mostly going to be modern basketball and a lot of hype cards. That is not what I collect. So if I was going to spend money to travel to a show, I'd rather go to that local show in Ohio rather than the show in California because it really doesn't fit my PC. So if you want to travel for a card show, try to figure out if that card show fits your own personal collection. And speaking of personal collections, if you're going to a card show, make sure to try to buy a card for it. Now, obviously not every show works out, but being able to go to a show and at least finding one card and a few flips really, really helps. I don't recommend just going to a show and trying to flip every single card because at that time, it's going to feel like a job. You're just going in there, trying to find a deal and sell it for more. No difference in working full time. If you have a personal collection, you're going to the show to try to find something that you actually enjoy, something that you want to keep for possibly years or upgrade down the road. So one of my favorite things to do at a card show is trading, but there's other situations when you should not trade and just pay in cash instead. So let's say, for example, you find a card that is $2,000 and you want to trade for it, but the dealer wants $2,800 worth of your cards. So you're paying $800 over comps technically for this card if you're able to liquidate your other cards. So at that point, sometimes it's better to go around a show and sell your cards to dealers, or sell your cards to other people walking around to recoup that $2,000, because you might be able to sell your $2,800 worth of cards for $2,400 and knock off $100 off that $2,000 price point. Now you're up $500 rather than trading away $2,800 for $2,000. So always know the value of your cards. If you can sell them for more at that time, or if you have those funds available, maybe make the purchase and sell them on another time, whether you want to sell the cards on a platform like MySlabs, on social media like Twitter, or another website like eBay. Just always have the idea where you can move a card for a certain price point. And another great trade tip is look at the showcase and look for the card out. Some of my best trades have been with dealers that have 1 or 2 vintage cards, but primarily modern. They got those vintage pieces in a trade and they really, really don't care about it because their customer base is all modern guys. They don't like the vintage cards. And on the flip side of things, if you have a vintage dealer that has modern cards, they really, really don't like modern cards. I can tell you that personally. Like the guys that I go to can't stand modern. They can't stand anything over 1980. So if you're able to see those two situations, try trading with these type of dealers because they're more likely to move these things, especially for trades or cash, because they don't really care. They just want to get liquidated and get rid of it out of their inventory. My next tip is to always ask questions. The more that you know, the more opportunities that are going to come to you at a card show. So let's say, for example, you're walking around a show and you see these 2 cards and you're unfamiliar with them. This one right here is a 1946 propaganda of Jimmy Fox. And then this is an old judge of John Clarkson. Ask the dealer, because if they purchase this card, they should know what they are buying. Now, I'll let you guys know this old judge, this is from 1887 to 1890. Now, there's some old judge cards a little bit earlier in 1886, but they don't have the photograph design like these. Pitcher is John Clarkson, which is one of your first 300 game winners, and he's a member of the Baseball Hall of Fame. This is a 1946 propaganda of Jimmy Fox. Jimmy Fox had over 500 home runs, was a legend in his era in the 1930s. And this is a propaganda, which was a Cuban release card. These are super thin stock and hard to find in a high grade. For example, these are even harder, at least in my opinion, than some of the Venezuelan cards. Now, this is a 3, it's a miscut, but it's the highest grade of this Jimmy Fox. So being able to know these cards and kind of highlight them and know walking around a show, you're going to have that knowledge. So when I started going to shows years ago, I used one of these to transport the cards. Whatever I purchased, I threw in here. Whatever I brought to the show, I threw in here as well. Kind of a mess, as you guys can see. You throw a card in here. It's George Brett, for example. Slides around. You have to put these slabs crooked, and not the best way to protect your cards. Now, however, today I use a slab case. I use this Zion slab case here. If you guys want it, I have a link down in the description, but it makes things so much easier. You can also lock it, and there's 3 rows in here which you can put in cards. Slabs fit perfect in here. So now I organize cards, what I purchase, what I want to sell or trade, and just have another row as well for bulk cards. So this has been a lifesaver, so much easier. Obviously, it takes up a lot more space than one of these, but you're able to transport a lot more cards, and storage and safety is better as well. Also has that lock on the side, so you can make sure to. And speaking of deals, the best way to get them is to really build connections by going and actually talking to a dealer and having that conversation. And they see your face over and over again, they are going to give you that deals. There's some dealers now that will automatically take 15% off of a sticker price, just since I know them and I've been buying cards off of them for the last year and a half traveling, or the local dealers here in Florida. Some of them I've been buying off of for 10 plus years. So they give me discounts from that. Just have conversations, be friendly. Don't be aggressive if a price is wrong. Talk to the dealer and have that real conversation with them, because they're more likely to like you as a customer and give you those deals long term. And lastly, have fun at the card show. Go through some of the dollar bins, look through the showcases, talk to people. Just enjoy it as an event. Not everyone's lucky to have a card show every single weekend. Whether you have it once every month or every few months, try to go out there and connect with your hobby community within your area. Hey, thanks guys for watching. And later this week, I'm gonna be dropping my 52 card show recap. So make sure to stay tuned for that one.